Okay, so we'll try to do a quick and dirty, I guess, video here on how to set up this for your particular application. So here is the screen you'll see when you first start up the application. It comes with, the application comes with three kind of pre-existing settings. So it has this OC mode, this gaming mode, and this silent mode. And they all kind of do different things. The OC mode is giving you a little bit more boost clock and is upping the power target along with the temperature target. The gaming mode is kind of a balanced, it's plus boost clock, but it's not as much as the overclock mode. And then the silent mode is like the opposite. So it is pulling boost clock and memory clock out of what the standard would be in an effort to keep the fan quiet and keep it cool. It took me probably 2 hours of using all of these when I first started using GPU Tweak, which was probably 4 or 5 years ago now, to decide that I don't like them. They're not optimized enough for me. We know how much I love optimization. So, kind of the first thing you're going to want to do is open up the monitor. So when you open it, I believe it opens with this opened anyway. But what the monitor is exactly that. It's a hardware monitor, and it's keeping track of GPU clock voltage. You can go into this drop down and select the ones that you want. I have them all selected for this video so we can see all of them. Most of the time I don't keep like power target status or fan speed RPM. I don't keep those ones up because I don't care about that. I have fan speed percentage and everything else, but we'll keep all of them open for now. And you'll see right now the computer's folding, so this is all being relatively utilized, I think. Do I have something moving? It's neither here nor there. So the way that I set this up, yeah, nothing's running yet. So the way I set this up is I have basically two profiles. I have standard and cooldown. So standard is everything's flat. I'm plus or minus 0 on every setting. So if you go into the advanced mode, it'll show you the specific details for every attribute to all your profiles. And you can select them over here. You can look at what each of these does. So the stock one, for instance, the OC profile is plus 38 on the boost clock, plus 180 on the memory clock. If you go to the gaming mode, it's plus 0, plus 0, plus 0. So the gaming mode is essentially flat with a little more aggressive fan curve than if you weren't to have this installed at all. And then your silent mode, you'll see it starts pulling boost clock and memory clock out. So this is minus 38 from the stock settings, minus 180 from the stock settings, and the power target is minus 10 from the stock settings. So what that does is it allows it to run cooler. My big problem with any of these three modes is I didn't like this curve. So this doesn't turn the fan on at all until 55C. I don't like that, and I certainly don't like that it doesn't get up to 75% usage until 83 degrees. I don't ever want my fan to be that hot, so I decided to make my own profile. So my standard profile is 0, right? I'm plus 0 on the boost, plus 0 on the memory clock, plus 0 on the power target, and then I have my own fan curve. So I like to stay mostly in this 50 to 70 range for temperature and fan utilization. And I feel like once I get to 80% fan speed, I don't really see a lot of benefit as far as cooling performance. So I keep it right around here. It usually runs about 70 when it's under load. So 70 is about half. If it's a hot day or everything else in the computer is warm, I'll come in here and I'll move this up 10 from 50 to 60%, but most of the time my fan runs between 50 and 60%. So then we get into the overclock settings. So how I've done this in the past Let's look at the cooldown setting real quick. So my cooldown setting is even more aggressive. So I'm taking 50 megahertz out of the boost clock, 200 out of the memory clock, and an 80% power target. Cooldown, I can get it to 30, 33, 34C. So that's for when I'm like internet browsing. I'm not doing anything related to the GPU. My overclock is a little more aggressive, so I'm plus 173 on the boost clock and plus 100 on the memory clock, plus 10 on the power target. So all that does is it gives, it puts a little more power into the chip, and I'm asking it to, overclock the main, basically the CPU of the GPU and then the clock speed. There is also the OC scanner. So what the OC scanner does is it's a utility that attempts to automatically overclock given some parameters. So you see you have this power target, this temperature target, this memory clock offset, and voltage. So if you hit the start button, what this is going to do, and it's going to start really low. It's going to start at like 1300, GPU clock, and it's going to ladder up until it finds kind of an equilibrium overclock. This does a pretty good job, and for a while I used the OC scanner to build my initial variant, and then I would make small tweaks here and there after that. But then once I started to get more comfortable with it, I do that once just to let it run, but after that I make my own. So you can see my overclock setting. You'll see this jumps up. My temperature is probably going to start jumping up here. You'll see over here, my clock has gone up. My memory clock has gone up a little. It'd be better if this was under load right now, but it's not, so it's not doing anything. And then if we go to the OSCI scanner, see it's a little bit lower. I think it only went to like 1735, 1745, so 5 megahertz less than what mine is. Not a huge difference. My fan profiles are a little different than what the OC scanner one is, but that's basically it. What I like to do is do like increments of 20 on the boost clock when I'm trying to figure this out. So 1755, I'll go to 1775, run it, see if it works, if it's stable. And ideally, I think the way to do this that I've read is to start with either the boost clock or the memory clock. Ramp it up until you start seeing like artifacts and benchmarks, and then dial it down, and then go do the other one. So if you started with the memory clock, get as much out of that as you can, then go up to the boost clock, get as much of that as you can, back it off if you're having problems, and then kind of make very small tuning adjustments in between there. So it can be a very labor intensive process, and you can spend as much time on it as you want. I haven't done much with this card because I don't need to, but you have that option if you want to get crazy. Your card already performs better than mine. You benched at 132. I have to overclock mine to get it to like 135, and I'm asking plus 200 megahertz almost on that to get that. So your card may do very good with an overclock. Some cards don't. My last AMD card, ATI card, did not like being overclocked at all. It would black screen almost instantly the minute you touch the settings. So luckily the NVIDIA cards handle boost a little bit better than what at least the last AMD card I had. Anyway, that's all I got.